And Diego Cortez.
Adam Schoenfeld.
Welcome to The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker. Today we have a delightful young woman who's also a very accomplished poker player, Erica Schoenberg. And she's coming off success at the LAPC. She had the success of the World Series last year. And but she's got a good, interesting background. Not just one of the many internet kids.
And a delightful change from some of the older, fatter guests.
Yes. This is going to brighten up the,
yes.
the show a little bit, so should be good.
You made a great run recently at the LAPC, and that was in a huge field, right?
It was a pretty big field. I think it was like 400 maybe 500, I'm not sure.
Oh, we were misinformed.
Yeah,
our
right?
research department. Our research department.
What did they say?
He said
was
2,700.
But maybe
at
what
the
happened.
LAPC?
Yeah, just now. Maybe what happened was that there were 2,700, and then there were another room.
We're
And
going
by
to have
the
to
time
start
we got
again.
there,
Now I'm ashamed.
I want to say, I mean, we are
But
talking
you got a
about the
big
main
prize.
event. We're talking about the 10K, right?
Well, didn't you make final table like in some?
No, yeah, we're talking about the final table where you got third.
Oh, that's the World Series. We were talking about the LAPC, no?
Yeah, you made a final table at the LAPC.
See,
Yeah.
Oh, no,
yeah. Oh, I was confused. I'm sorry. Yes.
Which was the
Yeah,
huge
you
field?
did. No, I remember. I took video of it. We did an interview.
Yes.
I like this. I like
Yes.
this.
Sorry,
in
Art,
fact,
you're-
I don't even want to edit all this.
Yeah, this
because
is
what I like
Because, you
about
know-
what I like about this is in
Just
in the old days. I always talk about the old days. In the old days,
Mm-hmm.
you go to a tournament. There weren't very many where there were $100,000, $1 million first prizes.
Right, you remember.
So it'd be like a big deal. Now it's like every week there are 3 or 4 tournaments with $1 million prize pool. So, did I finish
right.
third? Did I make a final
Yeah,
table? Did I
well-
win $1 million? What? Oh no, I did win $1 million. I don't remember.
Well, plus, yeah, I'm just
That's
making
what I like
final
about-
tables like
Yeah.
it's nothing.
You're making
so
multiple
I'm just like,
six-figure
which one was
scores left
I
and
that?
like
right.
that we don't even
That's how I
keep
roll.
track of them. So you made the final table in LA
hmm
in a tournament that had a lot of people.
Yes, I waded through a very big field, and I think I finished ninth or eighth. So it wasn't really like, I mean, nothing to really write home about, other than the fact that I did manage to final table a really huge event. So didn't win a lot of moolah, but
And you final table the World Series event previously.
yes,
That's a big
that was
deal.
2 years ago. That was huge. I need to do that again.
Is that a big deal for you? I mean, is it a validation? I mean, we have a mix here where we have a lot of guys who are big cash game players, where they talk about, hey, the World Series is coming up. They're not even going to play that many events. They're just talking
Yeah.
about the World Series coming up, meaning a lot of guys come into town with a lot of money.
I mean, that's how David was until recently. Actually, last year was the first year he decided to start taking tournaments seriously. And
David Benjamin.
David Benjamin. I want to take a little credit for that because I'm more of a tournament player. So I feel like I kind of pushed him. And then some other people were kind of saying, David, you're really good at cash games, but we've never heard of you doing much in tournaments. So I don't know, between his friends and me saying these things, he really, kicked it into high gear.
You know what? I was at a final. He played tournaments before, but maybe didn't play a lot. But I was at a final table with David on the World Poker Tour event. I think this is before you may have been together with David.
This is when you were David's lover.
Yeah, but the interesting thing was, I don't know if you know
Erica.
this. I've never seen this before or since. David was so sick the night before.
This was in Commerce, I think. Yeah.
And he had to have a doctor attend to him at the table.
I remember this, yeah.
They called the
Yeah.
doctor, and he was, with his stethoscope at the table while we continued to play.
See, that's dramatic.
Yeah.
I
It
love
is.
that.
He's told me that story a couple times.
Oh
It's
yeah,
pretty
that
funny.
that happened, and he was like near death. I think it was an early case of the swine flu.
It was the first report.
Yeah.
It was David Benjamin.
It'd be funny you're there like with the masks and the whole thing.
So David plays 20 hours a day.
Actually, not so much anymore.
Really?
He has substituted golf with poker.
Oh.
Or, I mean, poker. He's substituted golf, for poker.
poker.
Yeah.
Do you play golf as well?
I do.
How good
So
are
were you influential in that?
Yes, I was influential. I'm just going to take credit for everything good that
Yeah.
David does, and
And what about-
obviously everything good I do. I
When he-
take credit for that too.
Right. When he loses, it's on him, but when he
Right.
wins, it's on you. So you're a avid golfer?
Yes, I'm not quite as good as David, and actually, I'm toying with the idea of having a big golf bet coming up. So I'm not sure. So I'm
Against David?
Well, he's betting me a pretty substantial sum of money that I can't shoot 88 at Shadow Creek in 4 months, and I have yet to break 100. So
It's a pretty strong score at Shadow Creek.
Just a little. It took me about from breaking 100 to breaking 90 was about 5 years. So, you may be a tremendous athlete.
Well, it's a pretty, I'm still I'm working with some people who are, trying to tell me I've got two sides. You know, most everyone has been pretty much like, take it, I'll take a piece of your action, because I haven't tried much. Like, up until now, I'd played golf like once a month, just kind of randomly. I was more into driving the cart, drinking, kind of, heckling David.
Yeah.
So this is a real bet. This is not a free roll.
No, it's a real bet.
So, but people who have observed your play think that you're going to do it?
Yes. The guy.
And not just break 90, break 80. You have to shoot 88.
Yeah. Well, originally it was 90, but then he upped the bet by 20,000 if I could shoot 88. I was like, well, if we're going to do it, let's two strokes. Come on.
Keep it coming.
In general, it would be almost impossible for someone who hasn't broken 100 to break 90
It sounds
in 4 months.
crazy. It sounds ridiculous.
But, you may be a great athlete.
Well, I mean...
Huck did it. Huck went from, not playing golf to being a scratch golfer in, 6 months.
I like to think that I'm a pretty good athlete, and Monty Montgomery, he's the head pro out at Shadow Creek, he's kind of been giving me lessons, and he's like, if you come out here, 3 days a week and play all day those 3 days, he thinks I can do it.
One of the things about, and sometimes this would apply to poker as well, in golf, if you try harder, sometimes you do not do as well.
Yeah.
And also like poker, it's a very mental game. But if you're confident, I say go for it.
I wouldn't say that I'm confident by any stretch of the imagination yet. I haven't accepted the bet.
Yeah.
I was
I'm
going to
noodling
say,
on
so
it.
you're still...
I'm going to offer to back any, I'll take any part of David's action. Not that I don't feel confident.
F you, Adam.
It took me 5 years. Like, if you do it, I'm going to be humiliated.
I mean, I see that you're definitely questioning. I mean, maybe if you're a really good athlete, he says. But no, I know it's like a ridiculous thing to come from not breaking 100 to 88.
You were a volleyball player.
I was.
This is something our research department was accurate on.
You were correct.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
What was the volleyball? Beach volleyball or the indoor?
Well, both. Indoor growing up, and then beach when I moved to California.
See?
The beach volleyball in Akron is not
It's
as
not
good.
as plentiful.
Yeah.
No, not so much.
So you play on an all-rubber court.
You grew up in Akron and then moved to California?
Yes, I like the rubber reference, so
See?
you must
The
know.
rubber capital of the world.
Good year. Oh
Akron.
my gosh, not many people know that.
And LeBron James.
I'm very impressed.
Well, do you
I'm
know
one of these Jeopardy type
I
guys.
guess. Because that's a random factoid. You shouldn't know anything about Akron.
Oh, the zips, rubber, we know everything.
Well, they were just in the NCAA. I mean, they just almost...
Eric, I've known that the Akron nickname was the Zips before you were born, frankly.
Wait a second. Now you're dating yourself. Come on.
I'm old.
Before I was
We're both
born,
old.
We are
I
old.
think you're misjudging.
What I like is that when you mentioned the golf's become very prevalent in the poker community because of the betting aspect.
Yeah.
And the competitive aspect, but it lends itself to games, to bets, to prop bets, to all sorts of things. So the fact that you're getting into it,
I love
and that
it.
now we have men and women both involved, setting up bets, it's a
fun.
good development.
Well, I'd never see David also if I didn't start golfing. But also
And betting.
Betting, yeah, exactly. But I think it's the perfect complement for poker players because think about it, we sit inside. I mean, so
It's
much.
awesome to get outside and do
So
something physical.
It's like the exact opposite of sitting in with poker. So
Not the exact opposite
Well-
because of the carts and the whole thing, but at least it's outdoors.
yeah, it's outdoors.
In Las Vegas, you have to take a cart almost all the time, but
Yeah.
in other locales, you can walk.
I
and
wish
play
I
golf.
could walk the course. I wish.
Although,
I could.
like Eric Lindgren did and almost killed himself.
I know.
That's
I know.
impossible.
I golfed with Eric yesterday. He's pretty tough.
Yeah,
huh?
he's good
quite
athlete.
the athlete.
Yeah, he's quite a good athlete. Did you get into poker more seriously when you moved to California, or were you already into it?
No, I was kind of just into like random things. I mean, when I think about like kind of how did I get here, when I think about my life and the status or like what am I doing in my career and how did I end up playing poker? Because whenever you meet someone, you guys probably get this too, and you're kind of like, they're like, what do you do? And you're like, well, I'm a poker player. Like, how did you end up doing that?
Right.
So you think about like all the different things you've done along the way, and I just always feel like I'm kind of like one of those people that I don't know if it's not ADD, but like I'm good at a lot of things. I'm like, I think there's some silly contrived saying like you're like, I don't know, what is it? Jack of all, or master of nothing, or but
Right.
good
Jack
at
of all
Jack of all trades,
trades,
master of none.
Thank you. I knew it was something along those lines. I kind of am that type of person where like I get really into something for a brief amount of time and then I get bored and I move on. And that's kind of how I found poker.
I mean, the thing is, we interview a lot of young guys. I mean, even though you're a lot younger than us, the real young guys, the guys who are the early 20s guys, their whole experience has been playing on the internet. I mean, they started playing in college, they played on the internet, they ran up $3 into 17 million, and then now they're playing a few live tournaments and a few live games. But in your case, I mean, it really was a little more traditional, I assume, in the sense of just kind of getting into the game and not even realizing that poker was this
no clue.
big thing.
my first tournament was like a $20 tournament at an Indian casino in Palm Springs, and I won my buy-in back and a free buffet, and
Whoa!
I final tabled it. I mean, this was big. I was like, wait a second. It was awesome. It was Casino Morongo.
Roughly.
This was like 2000. What year are we now? 2009. This was probably 2004, maybe.
Right, just as poker was starting to boom.
I was like, let's give this a try, and I was actually in Palm Springs to play blackjack because I still had a couple casinos there that I could count cards at. So my dad and I stopped at this Casino Morongo. It had just opened because it used to be basically like a tent in the middle of the desert.
I think I remember that.
It was really kind of like it was crazy ghetto, and then they opened up this beautiful. It looks exactly like the Palms. So, I was living in LA, and we were driving out there, and I had taught my dad to count cards to be my wingman because my team had disbanded. So I had taught my dad how to do this. So I was like, "Come on, Dad, we got to go make some money."
So you were like the big player.
You were the big player.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
One of the soldiers.
And it was a good cover with Dad because it's like father-daughter, whatever.
Right.
That is excellent.
Yeah, that's a very good cover. It's both the 6 22-year-old guys coming in.
Right.
So, anyways, we saw that they were having a poker tournament, and both he and I entered, and he busted quickly, and I made the final table, and I was like, it was really fun, and I think I could get into this.
Thanks for joining us on The Scoop,
Thank
brought
you.
to you by Full Tilt Poker. And that was a great time with Erica Schoenberg, and we're going to bring her back for part 2.
And it's going to be even greater.
Probably. So join us next week, same channel.
Two bracelets. Awesome.
Well, these aren't easy to win. Remember this one like it was yesterday. My opponent had me down to my left. Sorry. Anyway, it's down to my last few chips. So, I had to call.
We play at FullTiltPoker.com.